Hello and welcome, Platinum members, to today's Outside Sales Agent Recruiting System webinar. This is part 4 in our series of attracting, hiring, training, and keeping the right people on your team so you can go somewhere big and get there quick. In part 4, we're going to be talking about today ongoing predictable profit centers. So over the next hour, okay, you are going to get just the final touches on setting up a system and leveraging from it by working with what we want to call a little higher quality salespeople. I was just talking to a Platinum member just a couple of minutes ago, and he was telling me that, look, I brought on a couple of people, hired them, I sent them down to the workshop even. They come back, they loved it, they were pumped up, but you know what, they just weren't doing all that well. And my thing is like, look, we really want to, if we put this system together that we spent hours on now, this will be the 4th hour on this system. If you can really put this in place, then you'll eliminate most of that. Not all of it. You're just not going to, end up with a sales force where you don't have some issues. It's just that these are people. These aren't machines, okay? So we want to limit that, minimize it, and optimize, what we're getting out of every person that we bring on. So this is the absolute best system for doing that. Everything that we've talked about so far, okay? Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and now Part 4, okay? So as we move forward here with Part 4 today, the question I got for you is, what is it that you really want to accomplish out of all these people that you brought on now? Whether it's 1, 2, 3, 5, maybe 15. There was a point in my real estate business where I came in, made a bunch of changes, 12 people left, basically because I forced them out, and I had to bring in about 8 new ones pretty quick like. So there was a time where we were, boom, like 10 or 12 people showed up at one time, and which was fine. It worked out well, and I wasn't afraid to do that just because I wasn't happy with the results I was getting from a good number of the people on my team, and wasn't going to continue to spend money. And that's what I wanted to accomplish. I'm not going to continue to spend money on a business and not have the customer service properly, not get everyone called back properly, and not have these agents leverage off of what they're being told and taught and learned. Like, I'm like the worst real estate agent ever. I'm a great marketer, but I'm not that great of a real estate agent. Many of you guys are probably better real estate agents, and I mean that as doers of servicing these prospects. But since I'm a very good marketer, then we keep people around because marketing makes up everything that you want to do. So whether it's attracting prospects, attracting people to come and work for you, getting deals negotiated, getting cooperating real estate agents to do what you want them to do, getting money from your customers up front, in the middle, at closing, doesn't matter. It's all marketing. Every bit of it, okay, is marketing. All right. What is it Craig mentioned to me? Always be selling, but it's all marketing. Okay, so and that's what I want is that if I'm not going to be able to do that with people that I have, you got to move them on. You got to get the right people on the bus. So that's my question for you today: is what is it that you want to accomplish here? Okay, so how about to build something? Right, that's what you want. You want to build something. Maybe it's a legacy. Maybe it's a business that's going to go on and be a legacy for you. But I think you get that from building up people. You got to build up your customers, their confidence in you. You got to build up the people that work for you, their knowledge, their capacity, and what they can do. And you got to set some standards in your business. So what are your standards? Now, we talked about some of that when we went through the outside sales agent independent contractor agreement. We discussed all that, but here's a repeat of it. At least 3 home sales each month, right? And we're trying to get over an 80% client satisfaction rate, over an 80% employee satisfaction rate, and maybe you should have a third-party company, survey your people that work for you. See how you're doing. But my theory is, and you guys probably can see it from being a part of the Platinum program, is that good enough never is. If you're in this program and you're not benefiting, then I don't understand it, because everything is right there at your fingertips to be more successful than we can even imagine at owning a business and selling real estate. The resources and depth of materials and systems and leverage that's available to us here, just on the coaching side, is phenomenal. Me being around and learning from almost 200 of the top real estate agents in North America, being coached and trained by the best, there's a lot of stuff to benefit from. So action really accomplishes most of that. So we kind of work off of this philosophy here, don't we? That good enough never really is. That's the entrepreneur in every one of us. That it doesn't, I know it's good, but it can be better. So if there's a chance for it to be a little bit better, you just keep striving at it. Okay, and that's kind of what I look for every day. Can our marketing be better? Can a system be better? Can we do a better job at helping the agents in the program make more money, retire more wealthy? Okay, it's easier for them to do what it is. Can it be done? So that's my job. I constantly look for those ways. And every few months you see that there's, you know what, that is a little better. It doesn't take much. So what is it that you want to accomplish here as we work on this? Well, for the people in our business, and this is what we want to accomplish. They have to buy into your vision, your mission for your business. And you have to repeat this to them on a regular basis. It has to show in everything that you do. Okay, so I got something this weekend that I thought was very valuable from a gentleman by the name of Andy Stanley. Some of you guys probably know who he is. He's a pastor at North Point Community Church, one of the largest churches in the country. Not that that means anything, but he's just a fantastic. It's large for a reason. This guy's really good. This is what he said this weekend. It's always a mistake to decide what you want to accomplish before you first determine who you want to be on the inside. Who you are will show up in what you do. Okay? So who you are will show up in what you do. So that's the message that we want to make clear to all of these agents that join our real estate business, right? Have a servant's heart. Okay? We take passion and passionate interest in our people and encourage them and reward excellence. We want to reward excellence. So if they're not being excellent, you can say, look, dude, that sucks. Okay, that does not fall into our system for doing a good job for people. Okay, so you have something you can always fall back on. And I would not relax those standards. Okay, you want to develop and recognize and reward leadership qualities out of your salespeople. The team concept, being on the same team, playing on the same team, will allow you to do great things. But once you've got people in your business to start nipping or get over here in the corner, okay, you got people in your program, in your environment, in your business, whatever it is that you're doing, okay, that get over in the corner and go wah, 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 and they mouth off at each other, and they're not trying to grow and benefit and serve and help. You know what? They need to go away. You've got to get rid of those people. Okay, they're not on the same team that you are. Okay, so either you're in the business of building people up, or you're in the business of tearing them down, because there is no standing still when it comes to growing a business. It's either going forward or it's going backwards. It ain't standing still, because everything around you is moving. And bottom line, profitability. Everybody in your company, from your employees to your independent contractors, to the people that you do business with, need to understand that if there's not profits being made, there is no business. Okay? There's no business. Profits pay for the service and value that you provide. Okay? They're the rewards of your risks. Okay? So it's important that your outside salespeople be on this page. Diligence. Okay? Okay? Diligence. All of it plays into that. So we talked about the outside sales agent's job description as well. So this is what you always go to with your salespeople. In your sales meetings, when you communicate with them, look, this is your job. Your job is to meet with those sellers and those buyers face-to-face and give them benefits presentations, how they benefit, why it's a solution to their problem. Okay? Convert these folks to signed agreements. Do market evaluations for these buyers and sellers, okay, so that they get in tune and they get knowledge of what's going on and they trust your professionalism, that you know what you're talking about. Don't just talk at them. You have to demonstrate this in writing and on paper. Make sure these properties are set up properly. Okay, without proper setup in the beginning, then you're going to have constant issues down the road. Okay, it's a vacant property. You're going to have to go visit that property every now and then to make sure that it's clean up and spider webs aren't collecting everywhere and door didn't get left open. Many of you guys that have corporate accounts, REOs and others, can you imagine the manager coming into town, checking on one of their non-performing assets and seeing that it looks like you haven't been there in 3 weeks? You're not going to get any more business from those, and nor do you deserve to. Okay? Write, present, negotiate offers, set up showings of homes, show homes to buyers, set up the VIP buyer profile system. These are your prospects that you're going to benefit from, agent. You better make sure that their profile set up correctly there. Can you do a little better job than what you've done? Okay? Are you looking through expired listings and withdrawals for these folks? Okay? Assist and set up home inspections, negotiate home inspections, set up these closings. Make sure the HUD is correct, and you review all these things, okay, with the prospect. All right? So thoroughly explaining as you move through the process of hiring and training and ongoing communications with prospects, those things right there, as far as what your expectations are, what your mission statement is and your vision for the business, okay, and how their roles play into that, and all those things kind of intersect. These are ongoing communications that you need to have, right? Now, we talked about the Success Sales System, which is the jumpstart training systems for these outside salespeople, right? The videotapes, video's gone, CDs and DVDs, okay, of the benefits presentations, and I would test these guys. I'd say, look, here's a DVD, here's a CD. On Tuesday, you and I are sitting down for an hour, and I'm the seller, and you're going to pitch me the benefits presentation, okay? All right? And in the meantime, maybe he goes with you on a couple of appointments, or she. Send him to the workshop. The workshop starts tomorrow here for this month, and there's 60-some-odd people coming into town from this program. That's a lot of people, but you know what? They should be here. You can't go anywhere in the country and get this sort of training. It doesn't exist unless you put it on yourself. And you must be putting it on yourself. We only do these workshops here. We have 4 of them this year. That's it. The one now, we got one next month coming up in Montreal. We got another one in a couple of months, and 3 months, and then another one after that. And you know what? You're going to have to coach and train these people, so you need to duplicate the workshop for your own folks. Now, the reason you send them places is because you're never a big fan in your backyard. People look at you, they think you can do it, they can do it better than you. And even though it's never been done, right, these people you bring on and they leave, they can never do it better than you. Okay, so you've got to have your own workshop going on as well. And ongoing training, okay, on your other systems like Agent Office and other stuff, okay. Now, once you get them in and get them hired, we talked about this, what we call the Success Now checklist for these folks. You got to get their email set up, and you want to brand your USP in your email. Make sure there's good email signature marketing there. Okay, confirm that they're set up in Agent Office. Okay, they've got their office plan set up. You got the benefits presentations on their machine, and they're working. Okay, the videotape testimonials that you have that are part of your benefits presentations, they play properly. They're sound. Okay, don't trust them to do it. They're busy trying to do their thing. You have to make time to get it set up properly. It's a system, and it will. Once you set a system up, it works. But if you don't set it up properly in the beginning, you guys know the repercussions of that, right? Okay. Plans to be set up in Agent Office by your outside salespeople. Closing plans. Again, buyer closing plan, seller closing plan. Pretty simple. It's a checklist. These are the things that you do, buyer's agent, when a property goes under contract. These are the things you do, agent, when the listing goes under contract. We do these things, you do these things. Okay? Simple checklist. All right? So let's take a look at a couple of those. On your screen right now is a step-by-step checklist of how to set up an Agent Office plan. Okay, so yeah, what you're watching right now is going to be posted on the coaching site. This is already there, by the way, but it'll be posted in a little better manner for you to access. But it tells them exactly how to set up a plan. Follow these steps. Click on Go on the top toolbar. Select Plan Manager. So if you're using Top Producer, then you'll replace the the proper steps with setting up an activity plan in Top Producer, okay? And then you'll follow these same procedures for setting up the plans. Okay, now I recommend, and let's take a quick peek at this. There's a default plan that's already set up in Agent Office that you have. Probably has your name on it. So it says Todd Walters buyer closing plan. Okay, so the agent would basically copy that plan and then change the activities to be so that they're the assistant number. That's how you do it. You don't want them creating something new. Just copy an existing plan that's there, and that works. So this is a screenshot or scan, it looks like. Yeah, scan or screenshot of an agent's new listing follow-up. And this was the default plan. Okay, new listing, proof the listing. Make sure everything's set up properly. Okay, make sure homefeedback.com is working for these guys. Give these guys a call, within first few days and a couple weeks after the setup. Just make sure these things are being done. 4 weeks down the road, make sure you're reviewing the market. Everything in the meantime is being done by the administrator, homefeedback.com being set up and all the other processes, right? Okay, so if you need more information on listing activity plans, okay, or any activity plans, excuse me, you can get those from the Platinum Operation Systems from the coaching website. Under the file library, Platinum Operation Systems, that's the category on the left. Click on that. On your right, you'll see all the activity plans in the Platinum Operation Systems manuals. Okay, so outside sales agent activities for seller follow-up. Okay, got to follow up with these sellers, right, every 30 days. So at the end of 30 days, we just launch a new plan which tells the guy, hey, follow up, follow up. You see, it's a personal phone call about every other week. There has to be ongoing communications. So now, at any given time, I can jump into Agent Office, Contact Manager System as the team leader and see if these calls are being made. Look at the agent schedule. Look at the seller's contact card, listing card, and see what the notes are. And if there's nothing going on, I'm like, dude, if something happened to you right now, if you fell off the face of the planet, and it does happen, okay, where people just disappear, God takes them away from this place, your seller is going to be left in a lurch. Why do you want to make your problem somebody else's? If you get sick and you have to have somebody else step in and help you out, your seller is going to be left in a lurch. They're going to be hurt by your issues. Okay, so my recommendation is that you put good notes into the system there, so if something happens to you, your customer's not hurt. Why would you want your customer to be hurt? Okay, well, remember when you signed on to work here, outside salesperson, we agreed that we weren't going to hurt our customers. Matter of fact, we were going to do the opposite. We were going to do everything we can to build them up. Okay, so if you're not making notes of your conversations and what's going on and activities in Agent Office there, and I'm not saying you got to put in every detail, but we kind of got to know what's going on. Okay, so, and you're using the Contact Manager System, so if you're going to use it, use it. But this is the hardest thing for real estate agents to do. But it was the easiest thing for me to do. And I mentioned this before at the conferences and coaching over the last 6 years. I've told Platinum members over and over again, there were 3 things that allowed me to go from where I was to making well over $1 million in income, net income, for a decade straight. There were 3 things that were essential. And one of the 3 was the use of the contact management system. I don't know how much plainer I can make that. Without that program, without that business operation system, you cannot do a good job of growing a business. Okay, so you've got to get everybody on the same page. If you suck at using the system, you don't insist that your business program is being used, then it's not going to get used, and you're always going to have these issues with your salespeople. This is a key essential ingredient for a predictable profit center. Okay, your customers have to stick around. You have to be able to step in there and take care of issues when things aren't right with your customers, and you want to have good notes. And people that don't follow this, and here's the thing: I've seen lots of outside salespeople do a great job of selling houses, turning transactions. I got this guy working; he's selling 4 homes a month. Man, he's kicking butt. Okay, but He is burning through customers. You're getting no referrals and you're getting no testimonials. And then you got a complaint here and a complaint there, but the guy's still making money, transactions. So you're going to have to decide via long, because this guy's not going to be around as long as you are. This outside salesperson is making you a lot of money every month, is not going to be around as long as you are. He's going to come and they're going to go. I don't care. It may be 10 years, okay, but I'm telling you it's going to happen. And when it happens, what do you have? Do you have a database that you can leverage off of for more business, or are you going to be starting over, building new customers and clients, trying to formulate relationships with those? Do not sacrifice profit today, okay, for profit tomorrow. It's a mistake. You can have both. All right. So these activity plans are crucial for ongoing communications. All right, let's look at some lead and appointment policies and procedures while we're on this subject. Incoming web and direct mail prospects are directed to the database manager, as we all know. And then he assigns them to inside or outside sales agents based on rules that you write for your database manager. Web leads given to outside sales agents will be given, they've got some time to follow up with them. Now, I'm looking right here. It says 3 days. Man, that's a freaking long time. So I guess that would be if it's future business. But if it's now business, somebody, then I don't think you can take 3 days to follow up with anything like that. But use your own judgment on your prospect time following up, okay? But 3 days would definitely be somebody who's way in the future, and you know it. All right, so appointments will be given to the best agents. Best leads go to best agents, and my expectations are 85% or better conversion rates on leads to appointments and appointments to signed agreements. You talk to a prospect, and I'm talking to, let's pretend I've got my finger pointing into one of the outside sales agents on my team's face. You talk to a prospect there, agent. He's not working with an agent. He wants to make a move in the next 3 to 6 months, and you don't book an appointment, then you are not following the system. You don't know enough. Okay? Here's a good example of that. I had a pretty good agent who thought he knew everything. Show up at a couple workshops, and then he just, kind of quit coming around. Still getting the leads, and, I'd say, hey, where's Randy? Well, Randy's not here. Well, where is he? Well, I don't know. I think he's on an appointment. I'm like, well, I'm not doing these team meetings for my help. I'm doing them for these guys so that they can do a better job, sell more houses. I have information today that would help Randy do that. He's selling 2 homes a month. Okay, last month I sold 10. So surely Randy can benefit from this. Well, okay, so finally catch up with Randy. Hey, Randy, what's going on? Well, Ty, I've already been there and done that. I don't need to keep coming to those things. I already know everything that you're saying. And I'm like, hey, Randy. And this was probably a tough thing to do to this guy, but I did it anyway. Randy was a very religious man. He seemed to be a God-fearing Christian there. So I said, Randy, I bet you that you have a Bible laying somewhere in your bedroom, probably around your nightstand or close to it. Is that right? Yeah. Well, do you read it every day? No. Do you read it once a month? No. On occasion, I pick it up. Yeah, I guess you don't need to read it anymore, then, do you? Since you've already probably read it once, I'm sure, or some of it, you don't need to go back to it anymore. You already know it all. All right, so he got the point, and you know what? He got another chance, and he went on to do pretty well. But that's a good example of making sure that these people understand that there's expectations in your company, and you're going to adhere to those standards, and you're going to give people every opportunity to do that. But when they don't, after you strongly say, step it up, and they don't, then you need to get rid of them. Agents averaging below 50% on appointments to signed agreements are subject to termination, flat out, no ifs, ands, or buts. So many of you are carrying for months agents with pathetic conversion rates and sales rates. Pathetic. And we're all guilty of it, including me. I like this guy. I think he can do it. Remember, if you're a high I, you make a poor manager. So you got to kick your high D in and say, this guy is just not, he's not getting it done. And you know what, I'm not going to be any worse without them here. So you terminate, okay? As a matter of fact, you want to make sure that you've got this system in place that we're spending time on working on here so that you don't run into being held hostage by crappy salespeople, right? And then we want to make sure that all of our agents understand that we're in the appointment setting business so that we can get face-to-face with clients and present benefits to them. So we don't want these appointments to be broken. So the big thing that I want to mention here as you're looking at your screen and I'm talking about this is if there's appointments being set by inside salespeople, the outside salespeople can anytime undo these. Here's a good example. Inside salesperson books an appointment with a person who saw one of our ads. It said, find out what your home is worth online, okay? So the inside sales guy books the appointment, passes it on to John Smith, the outside sales guy. John picks up the phone in his haste to make the appointment a couple of days later to verify that, because he's pissed, the last appointment he went on, the person wasn't there. So he calls up the seller for this appointment and says, hey, Mr. Jones, this is John, and I'm coming over today to talk to you about listing your house. I just wanted to make sure we were still on. And, of course, the seller says, well, what are you talking about? I just wanted to get an idea. I'm not listing my house. I'm selling it by owner. I wanted to find out what you guys have a free home evaluation you'd offer me. I want to find out what it's worth, so I'm not interested in listing my home, so you don't need to come. All right, so how many times does that go on in your business? And if you have salespeople, it goes on. Don't think it doesn't. Okay, so best practices right here, 4-step system for preventing appointment cancellations. Okay? Now, everybody understands on your team the steps for appointment conversion, right? The appointment gets booked, say, by an inside sales agent, if you've got people booking appointments like that. And let's kind of look through that system. And the best agent for the appointment gets selected based on who's available, what geographic areas it is, who's the best agent for this job, okay? Sets the appointment up on the agent's agent office program, as well as emails them the information so they have it on their BlackBerry or iPhone, okay? Agent prepares for the appointment, obviously goes on it, and within 24 hours of the appointment, the agent's got to let us know what happened here. Did you get the deal, dude? Yes or no? There is no Did you get the deal? Do you have a signed agreement? If you don't have a signed agreement, you don't have anything. Well, they told me that they liked it, and I left the paperwork with them. Okay, well, then what are you going to do? Waiting on the customer. It's not their job to call us. Okay? So got to be some communication on that, and I'm bullish about it. You can see that, I'm a little bit on edge when it comes to working with these prospects and these leads that you pay a lot of money for. Okay, so we want to make sure you have a system in place like this. This is a simple 10-step system for appointment conversion if you're using an inside sales agent. But you can just pop out ISA and put in OSA, okay, with all of these steps. If you're unsuccessful at getting the appointment, what happens next? Do you just say, oh, well, or do you call the person back, the prospect, you as a rainmaker, and say, hey, I wanted to thank you. This is Todd. This is Todd Walters with Todd Walters and Associates, and I wanted to thank you for allowing Randy to pop over to your home yesterday and talk to you about selling it. We appreciate the opportunity to do that. I'm following up not only to say thank you, but also to find out what we need to do to get your business. And you know what? The prospect will say many, many things to you that they're not saying to the other agent. Now, was that a rainmaking activity? Yeah, if you can't change the outcome, you delegate it. So if you can change the outcome, you do it. All right, now that's a very good use of your time. Now, how long does that call take? That's in between appointments on your way. Okay, so spend your time doing activities that make you an awful lot of money. Delegate the others. All right, so great idea. Items needed by the outside sales agent to submit a new VIP buyer agreement. Cancellation guarantee. If you're saying you can cancel any time, we like to have a separate agreement on that as well. The buyback agreement or certificate acknowledgement that they've signed, understanding the program details on that, what their profile is, and of course the VIP buyer agreement. And the agent just simply faxes those forms in. It's an e-fax. We collect them. We put them in an electronic file. Items needed to submit a buyer once they go under contract. All the details are right here. You guys can read, but copy of the executed purchase and sale agreement, the completed closing form. That's right, a closing form that has information details on it, because we need paper and we need it on the computer. Got to have duplicate copies of both, unfortunately. Signed seller property disclosure statements, all the lender contact info, pre-qualification letter, copy of earnest money checks, copy of seller's survey, home warranty, information order form, right, if there's a home warranty involved. So these are things, commission confirmation instructions to closing attorney, request for fee deficiency, if any, and, of course, wiring instructions on what to do with the money, closing attorney. We don't want him giving it to the outside guy because he doesn't need to be running around. What a waste of time for the outside sales agent to get a check at closing and drive it over to our office, and for somebody to walk in, hand a file to somebody, and then to write checks. No reason to do any of that stuff in today's society, okay? And don't. Set your business up right now, and you can avoid a lot of issues. Plus, there's lots better tracking systems in place than people handing things off. Items needed to submit a new seller listing. The listing agreement, the dual entry data sheet, that's the MLS data entry form. We have 2 MLSs here in our marketplace. Seller's property disclosure statement, talking house script, courier order form, seller profile, all contact information submitted, seller net sheet. Got to have a seller net sheet on every one of them. Has to be seller has a copy, the agent has a copy, it goes in the file. Okay? Now, the reason I like them to fax these things to us is because they have a copy, and now we have a copy, and we can print it off and have a paper file, and we have an electronic file. Okay, so very good, very, very, very good business practice there. Okay, after signing these listing agreements, outside sales agent, make sure that you've got copies of. Make sure that they have copies of everything. Then go over what's going to happen next before you leave their house. Have them initial this guaranteed sale disclosure statement so they know that we're not buying their home unless X happens. Okay? Make sure they have a copy of all these things. Okay? Be specific with the seller regarding getting their house photographed, how that process is going to work. Okay? They don't need to be home because they can use the lockbox to do it. As a matter of fact, it's kind of like the cable guy coming, so it's best that you don't be home waiting on them. It might just lead to frustration. They're going to show up and do it, but they're going to use their judgments based on lighting and that sort of thing. Okay, use emotional words from the power word list that everybody has, list to describe the house when you're writing up the ad, the marketing copy. So one of the things I would do is I would review, team leader would review all of the listings that come in, including the scripting information that would go on the information lines. Okay, and we had templates. The words just fit into the template. Everybody should have a duplicatable template system there, so that the marketing copy was good. Okay, it's benefit-rich marketing copy. Okay, make sure we get all the seller's contact information and fully explain how the feedback process works. All righty. When a property goes under contract, a listing, these are the things that we have to have. So you can see real clearly here what we have is a system, a duplicatable system for every agent that joins our team to follow so that you get a predictable result. Okay, now how do you know if the agents that work for you or will be working for you are leaving copies of things that get signed with the seller? How do you know your best practices are being followed? Well, you have to survey your customers. Somebody every now and then is going to pick up the phone, call a seller, and survey them. Did you get a copy of this? Did you copy this? Or email them. Okay? And say, we're just doing a quick survey just to see how we're doing. And we want to make sure that we're doing a good job for everyone. So I hope that's okay with you. As a result of just answering a few questions, you can have a free Chick-fil-A sandwich. Okay, and here's the questions. All right, so I would definitely spot, check, and survey your business, your best practices. All of the top-notch businesses do this. Now, we got into a habit of doing it maybe about once a year, But that was fine. I was doing it. People knew it was coming. So once you establish the practices, even though you might not do it every quarter, maybe you do it twice a year, once a year, you know what? It's still part of the system, and you're doing it. Okay? Highly recommend it. Okay? Yes, agent, there are benefits for you if you use our approved vendors. Here's the mortgage company. Here's the closing attorneys. Here's the home inspectors. Here's the termite. Here's the home warranty. Okay? These companies pay us money. Okay? So we want them to continue to pay us money, marketing dollars, so we can generate you leads. So the less you use them, the less leads you get. Pretty simple process the way that works, huh? Okay, so there are benefits in it. All right, how do you get paid? Well, here's how you get paid. Okay, you go to closing, you get the HUD over to us. Okay, when we get the HUD and we confirm we have the money in the account, we'll make sure it gets direct deposited into your bank account. All right, and then we had activity plans that once the administrator or office received checks and HUDs, they would launch for that particular file. Changing statuses, making sure we had all these other goodies done. You can see the list right here on your screen. Okay, copy of the HUDs in the file, copies of checks in the file. All right, so there's somebody in your office that's in charge of these things. And then again, how do you know they're getting done? Well, you tell them, this is your job. We're going to spot check you every now and then. You're not going to know it. It's going to be audited. We're going to pick a few files. We're going to audit them. And if it's missing, you're fired. Okay? I'm just telling you, that's the way it works. Now, I love you. I like the job you're doing. You're a great person, but it seems it well. But just because we like each other and we get along well, we're having a great time here, just to understand that the business could be shut down. Could absolutely be shut down if the Georgia Real Estate Commission came in here and these things weren't done properly. So it doesn't matter that we really like each other and we love working together. What matters is the business. The business is what feeds us, right? So that means it has to be worked properly. So as a result of the business maybe being in jeopardy and put out of business, that's grounds for termination. Do you agree with that? Okay, good. So we're on the same page. So your job is to make sure these things get done. Okay, and that's it. That's how easy. You have the conversation in front. It's in their employment contract, and you never have an issue. And if you come in and a file is missing something, okay, obviously you might not walk in and fire them on the spot, and there might be some reasonable explanation, but then you have to say, guess what you have to do? You have to go through all the files since the last time we did an audit and show me that everything is in there. And you have to do it after hours on your own time. So in the evenings and on weekends, you got to come in here and do that. I'm sorry, but that's what we agreed to up front when you started working here. Okay, rebates and referral. Now, let me back up. The agent does not get paid unless we have all the information that they were going to provide. They have agreed to that. We can't pay you your money, contractor agent, until you have delivered everything that you've agreed to deliver to us. And that's this piece of paper, this paperwork, that information, this disclosure, that. Okay? All right. So now you're beginning to see a pattern, like I just mentioned a minute ago, of consistency with systems. Now, some of you are saying, oh, my God, man, my business sucks. No, it doesn't. It doesn't because it's your deal. You're the guy. You are the one in charge. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe other guys. So it's a small deal, but you're the guy taking on responsibilities for these things. But look, if your business is going to grow, and that's the reason you're in this program, is to grow it exponentially, right? Eventually, these are things that will have to be in place. Okay? So it's easy to take what we're talking about in these webinars and put them in place now. Okay? Referrals and rebates, you get, after we pay a referral agent, then we split the money. Okay, so everybody understands how that works. Okay, if you don't like a lead that you get or appointment you get, you can't transfer it to another agent inside the team here and expect that you're going to get a referral fee from them. It doesn't work that way. Okay, now when you're working with sellers, here's what you need for good seller conversion outside sales agent. Okay, you got to have the agent manual. You got to have the sales authorization agreement, the seller benefits presentation, the benefits presentation attachments, okay? And here's what you need to know. You got to know all the scripts and dialogues from that agent manual, the unique selling propositions that we have to offer, how to make compelling offers, the seller benefits, how they're going to benefit from what it is that we do. And you got to know that benefits presentation backwards and forwards as well as attachments. And if the seller challenges you on something, like, hey, hey, that retainer that you're asking for, is that unnecessary? Isn't the commission enough for you? Okay, that you can absolutely deal with the objection properly. Okay, these are things you have to know. Okay, so you want to start with ditching this whole listing mentality. Listing is a process. Okay, it's not the thing. Okay, we have to sell homes. We specialize in selling properties, not just listing them. We got hundreds of motivated buyers calling us every month, hundreds in our database looking for homes. So you, Mr. Listing Agent, you are in the selling business, not the listing business. Okay? All right. So now, the seller benefits presentation. Let's talk a little bit about that so that you, outside salesperson, can set yourself up to get the same results that I would get if I was going on an appointment. Okay? So let's look at how we do it. Okay. First of all, it's the most important contact that you're going to have with anybody. How well you do will determine whether they become your client or somebody else's. So what's going to make your presentation optimally effective are inside-out knowledge of how each of your consumer programs work, consistency in the way all of them are mapped out and explained, flexibility in the way that you present them. Okay, flexibility is the key to success based on personality types. You must have a paradigm of buyers in waiting. So let me say this as a side note here to everybody watching today. When I had a light bulb go off in my head that, you know what, sellers just want buyers. They could care less about me. So, look, I got tons of buyers. Why don't I just tell them that? So that shortened up the whole process of everything and improved the consistency and conversion rates of getting listings. It's just demonstrating to sellers that you have the buyers, okay? And you do. All right, so make sure they know that. So the purpose of your presentation, the beginning of it, is just to confirm their intent to move, right? Make a good positive impression, build some rapport. So you, as the team leader, want every one of your agents following in your footsteps. So there should be a process, a system, so that when they get out of their car and they end up at the kitchen table or dining room table making their benefits presentation to the sellers, that they did the same exact things that you did. Okay, what works for you, it'll work for them. Okay? So, here it is. As you walk in the door, agent, you shake their hands and you greet them by their name. Hey, Mr. and Ms. Smith, this is Todd. My name's Todd. Are you folks ready to get your home sold? Now, the reason you want to ask this question is because of X. All right? And so what's better for you? Use the kitchen table or dining room table. Okay, as you start to walk that way, how long have you lived in your house here? Where are you thinking of moving to? When do you have to be there by? Why don't we take a quick look around your home first? So you lay your stuff down on their kitchen table and you take a quick peek around their house, outside salesperson. The reason you take a tour first is because of this reason. Okay? And everybody on this webinar right now knows all of this stuff. Okay, again, this is what we want our outside salespeople to do so we can get predictable results from them, right? So as you're walking around their house, here's what you ask. And here's why you ask these questions. What do you do for a living? Okay? Do you know how old your home is? When was it built? Have there been any structural problems, water accumulation or dampness within the crawl space? Okay? How are your mechanical systems holding up? Have you spent a lot of money on upgrades to your home? Okay, so by the time that the agent gets back to their kitchen table, they'll have a good strategy in place regarding how they're going to approach this benefits presentation. Okay? For example, agent, if they spend a lot of time explaining how much money they spent on upgrades, do you think they're interested in price more than anything else? Yeah. Okay. If they're not very talkative, they're kind of quiet and shy. So what do you think? C, S, maybe a high D? Just being impatient with you? Okay, what are you going to do if there's a radio or TV blaring? Okay, so again, duplicatable system on what works for you. When you're presenting to more than one person, you sit across from them and you tell them, hey, Mr. Smith, why don't you sit here, and Ms. Smith, you sit there. I'll sit right here across from you so we can look on the information that I've brought along that will help you as you get ready to think about selling your house. Now, you folks ready to move forward on, presenting your home to the buyers in our system? Okay, so now this tells me if the person's pre-sold with me or not. And if the answer is, well, I'm not really sure, it depends on what you tell us we can get for our house, okay, then now we know we've got a full-blown benefits presentation. Well, are you guys interviewing any other real estate agents? Here's why you ask that question, okay? All right, so as you start out, your focus, once you're set and you begin going, is on the seller's needs as the basis of all your discussion. So if you don't know that information, you best be asking it. So that I can do the best possible job to help you in your present situation, Mr. Seller, can you tell me what's most important to you in getting your home sold? What you feel like has to happen in order for that to be accomplished? Okay, now the stage is set. Now they know whether they're doing a benefits presentation full or short. Okay? And then, of course, the agent wants to give them a verbal agenda of how they're going to start. Okay? And let's take a look at that, because I wrote the monologue for the agents, basically copied it from Craig, obviously, and presented it to the agents, and built the first 2 or 3 slides in the benefits presentations to say this, so they never would screw it up. So again, the whole idea here is to have a system for your outside salespeople to follow, so they do what you do. Okay? Ongoing, predictable results. Okay? Systems that will enable your outside salespeople to be successful, and for you to go out there and not worry about things getting done. You just have to spot check. Okay? Best practices, remember? Make sure those things are being followed. The systems that you set up are being followed. And it was pretty interesting, because whenever we'd have issues or problems in our business, my first thing was, you guys aren't following the system. I created that freaking system. Worked well for me. You're just not following it. So that's the reason you have these problems. You want to avoid the problems? Follow the system. Then you won't have those problems anymore. Are we clear? Okay. So now you start your presentation. Here's what you say. It's on the first few slides. If you say this, you'll never have a problem. Mr. and Ms. Jones, our mission is to sell our clients' homes fast for top dollar with the support of our unique team system, our exclusive consumer programs, our leading-edge technology. To explain how we do this, let me tell you how I'd like to proceed. First, I'd like to explain our home selling system to you, and how the process that we use to sell homes is completely different from the way other agents sell real estate. Next, I'm going to spend some time talking about our exclusive consumer programs that we've developed as a direct result of our experience with several thousand homeowners. Okay, then I'll explain to you what these programs are and how you will benefit. Okay, and once I've given you a good understanding of what our team can do for you in a general sense, I'd like to spend some time talking about your situation, specifically by showing you some comparable home sales so we can establish a competitive asking price. So do you have any questions about how I'd like to proceed? That's it. Okay, so these are the things. From there, they can follow the PowerPoint. Okay, but the monologue, the words that you know they need to be saying, the actions they need to be presenting, that stuff they've got to be coached and trained on. It's a predictable system. So they have a summary of how it works. It's in the agent manual. We'll even be discussing it at the workshop coming up. Okay? Now, attachments that they're taking along with them, every agent that goes out the door on appointments, you must make sure they have what they need to be successful. Okay? That includes a list of buyers from your database. Caller ID reports from your hotlines if you're using those, so they can demonstrate how many people call you on your ads, how many people visit your website, okay? Copies, samples of leads from your website, testimonials, okay, to demonstrate value. And then they need to properly know how to close, okay? When the seller starts asking you questions, okay, that's a pretty good clue that they like what you're doing. Close them up. Hey, assuming we come to an agreement then on what the buyers will be willing to pay for your home and your bottom line net proceeds, are you comfortable with us handling the sale for you? Okay? Then you go into the CMA for pricing. You do not put the CMA ahead of the benefits presentations and getting them to agree that they believe you're the person to create the most demand for their home. Very important. Okay? Otherwise, they'll make the decision to do business with you on price and commission, not benefits. Okay, any seller objections, and here's the objections manual. And you drill them all the time on objections, dealing with objections. Okay? Again, these are things we cover in our workshop as well. Okay, that's the reason these workshops are here, is to get ongoing predictable sales from your salespeople. So the workshop is a great extension of this part 4 here, and that we're talking about today. So I want to encourage everybody to get there. If you haven't experienced it yet, you got to. Got to come every year, at least once. And you got to get your salespeople there as often as possible. Okay. So dealing with any seller objections, getting the sales authorization agreement signed, and of course the referral program. Never leave the property without getting referrals. You must have a culture of referrals if you're going to have any referrals at all. Otherwise, they'll just trickle in. So what do you do for referrals? And you tell your salespeople what your referral program is, and of course we all know what that is. There's never a seller that gets turned in to our office without a net sheet included in the paperwork. Okay, and when we audit the seller or survey them, they have a copy of this. Okay, and just so you'll know, never factor in closing cost for buyer closing cost in a seller net sheet, because that's something you don't know. You only put on the net sheet what you know what the expenses will be. Don't estimate stuff and assume that the buyer is going to want closing costs, for example. Very important. So just the hard fees. All right. Now, then you talk about aggressive pricing strategy. This is and you leverage off of the tools that you have, and you make sure your salespeople have these available to them so they can use them. I got tired of the outside salespeople, pulling these things out and using them as leverage, so we just put them on homefeedback.com, to be honest with you. And so whenever a seller would go to the feedback website, they would see this little target here pop up. Right? Here's your price on target. and then for a consultation about this, call this number, and they would buzz it. Okay. All right. Now, after the seller signs and all that stuff, there's 3 things that you want to accomplish with your meeting before it's over, before you walk out the door. Okay. Let's make sure we're on the same page. First, you want to thank them for their business and make them feel good about their decision. Then you give them an idea, sense of what happens next. Okay, and take advantage of their positive frame of mind and get those referrals. Okay. So, again, just recapping what we just talked about there. Good stuff. Now, let's look at buyers real fast. All right, what do these guys need for working with buyers so we can predict the outcome? The agent manual, the VIP buyer benefits presentation and attachments, right? Need to know all the scripts and dialogues from the agent manual, the profiling USP or profile USP, how to make compelling offers, the benefits that we offer buyers. Got to be walking, talking robot of benefits, so to speak. Okay, how to overcome these objections. All right, so let's put ourselves in the buyer's shoes so that we can do a really good job for the buyer. What is it that the buyer really wants? If they're going to select a buyer's agent, what is it that they want from you? Right, that's it. So let's ask a question like that. What do buyers want in a buyer's agent? Well, you got to have a full understanding of what they want in a home. Up-to-date thorough knowledge of homes on the market, superior negotiating skills, okay? Specialized knowledge on the best financing options available, and a service program that makes it quick and easy for them to preview the homes they're interested in. So these are things you have to demonstrate, buyer's agent, as you begin and move forward and work with continually these buyers out there. Otherwise, you're going to lose prospects. They're not going to hang around. They're going to ditch you and go buy a home on their own, okay? So who ends up in your car? People that are financially stable, interested in signing a buyer's agreement, realistic in their purchase expectations, and they're motivated to buy. Okay, again, these people end up in your car. So your goal is take every buyer that you meet with and move them toward this spot. Okay, and it's a process. It's not even. It's not. Sometimes it'll take a month. Sometimes it takes a day. Sometimes it'll take 6 months to move people toward this process. Right? I'm sorry, toward that to end. Okay, and then of course we want to make sure that all the buyer's agents understand the VIP buyer agreement, and we all do, and so we don't need to get too much into that right now. But managing buyers' expectations before you leave their home when you're meeting with them, okay, is important as well. So what do you say and do when you come across homes on your own buyer? So your outside salespeople must be conveying this information to the buyers that they meet with. And then we want to make it clear, and you live and die by this rule on your team. And it's not your customer's job to call you. You got to follow up with each buyer to gauge motivation, get them in the houses. Don't just send them printouts and hope that they call you, wait on them. Okay, that's what losers do. You're not a loser, outside salesperson. You are a winner. And good enough never is. So set them up in the home hunter service. Then you start finding them a house. Okay, you look for off-market properties and on-market properties and find them homes, because they're just looking at pieces of paper and homes on the internet. They'll thumb right through a home that they may end up buying. Okay, that's like a safety net there. That's all that is. And prior to writing an offer to purchase, okay, when it comes time to making an offer, keep doing what you've been doing. Involve the buyer in the process from start to finish. This will help you get referrals and testimonials. And it's as simple as when you're at the house and they like the property, and they're talking about making an offer on it, get your handy-dandy iPhone out and make a phone call to the listing agent with the buyer standing right there. So let's call the listing agent and ask them a few questions about the property. And call the listing and say, hey, listing agent, I'm here at your listing at 1065 Gunner Court with Mr. and Ms. Smith, and we had a few questions for you. Okay, now your buyer's going to be sitting there like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Whereas most agents say, buyer, you go home, and I'll go over here, and I'll let you know. And you know what? Not good. It's not the way that the best professionals do business and expect referrals and testimonials. All right? Preventing communications, getting our fee. You are responsible for us getting paid, buyer. That's why you get half the money. I get about 20%, you get half. The rest of it goes toward expenses. Okay, so the reason you get the majority of the income is because I'm placing you with great responsibility. And the responsibility is to make sure that we get paid, okay? Now, if you don't want that responsibility, we'll work out a different arrangement. But make sure that in the paragraph on the special stipulations of the purchase and sale agreement, you explain what closing costs are, because we get paid our deficiencies on the extra services and value that we offer the seller. Our fee deficiencies come through the closing cost. So we need to make sure that that's in there. Otherwise, we may not get it. So you explain that process to them, the process for buyer-client offers, a predictable result for everybody on your team. Now, I could say this. You can just send your people to the workshop. I'll make sure they get all this, and I'll communicate it to them, and then you can just run with it from there. That would be an easy thing to do, and that's probably that's what a lot of Platinum members do, but I do think you need to have your own workshop set up and follow these systems through and make sure these best practices are being adhered to. Okay? And the screenshot here is just more on making sure we're collecting our fee deficiency. Okay? But a few rules of thumb that the outside salespeople must follow so that I, as a team leader, understand what I can expect things. Okay? So I never want to get a call from a buyer or seller that says, hey, what's going on with my offer? I haven't heard anything from my agent for a couple of days. And then the agent comes to me and says, well, if I had any news for him, Todd, I would call him. I say, you know what? You suck. You absolutely suck. That is a suck thing to do. How can you sleep at night, go into bed knowing that your client, who's paying you thousands of dollars, wants to know what the hell's going on? All right. So somewhere along the way, from the time you ended up here at our company and today, we've had some breakdown in communication. Okay? Because that is not what we set out to accomplish. Okay? That damage might be overcome, but, man, it will never be repeated. Okay, so very, very important that you involve the client, buyer, seller, outside sales agent, in everything that you do. So no news is news, okay? And so that you don't look bad, why don't you email the agent, the co-op agent, and BCC your client so that they know you're reaching out, saying, hey, what's going on? All right. Now, how about tracking all of these sales and prospects? Okay, how are you doing that? We could have a whole hour session on tracking, and we will probably have to do that in the future here because some of us have kind of gotten away from it or don't have the system set up properly. But Top Producer in Agent Office will allow you to track pretty much anything and everything you want to track electronically. You don't need manual performance forms and sheets. You can use them, don't get me wrong, but it's not necessary. You can use the scheduler and parties and activities and other things for you to quickly, easily look at to know what's happened. Here's a good example. Whenever an appointment gets scheduled for an outside salesperson, if it's being scheduled by somebody else, an activity plan will get launched. And there's an activity in there that says listing appointment for TW, okay? And that activity would show up on a master, say, appointment scheduler. And then you could just look at the appointment scheduler and see how many listing appointments were scheduled for TW. So if you got 10 agents on your team, hypothetically speaking, you can see how many initials, listing a plan for TW, listing a plan for ZT, listing a plan for JO, okay, and listing appointment for J. You can see all that on your scheduler, okay. What you're looking at here on your screen are things that you want to know, okay, week to week out of your outside salespeople. How many listing appointments? How many new listings did you get signed? How many offers did you negotiate? How many closed listings did you have? How many buyer appointments? How many new buyers did you get signed up? Okay, how many buyers did you negotiate? How many closed buyer size did you have? These are things you want to know week to week, right? And then you've got monthly status reports on the buyers. This used to absolutely drive me freaking crazy, is having these agents with all of these buyer prospects, dozens. There was one agent I remember not too awful long ago, he had like 140 buyers. 140 freaking buyers. He had 2 closings on the book that month. I'm like, dude, what are you doing with all of these buyers? What are you, like a collector? I just don't really have any leads. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. I was looking at your schedule last night, your scheduler. Just here, sit down. Let's do a search. Let's put your name in, and let's search all your prospects. Look, you got 143 buyers here. What happened to this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy? You haven't called them in a month. Well, they never called me back. I know. We want to jump out of our skin sometimes when we hear that, huh? So it's all great business stuff. I mean, that's just the way business works. So hold your outside salespeople accountable to the clients and prospects that you're giving them through status reports. Okay, and if they don't follow up on the status, then they're not interested or they don't covet them like you do. So now what you're seeing here, okay, on these weekly performances and everything that we've talked about, is so that you can predict the outcome going down the road. So you can establish best practices for your real estate business. Outside salespeople can be an absolute jackpot gold mine for you. Jackpot, as I've heard Craig Proctor tell me so many times. An absolute jackpot. Or it can be a miserable experience for you. Miserable. And I'm going to maintain that it will be a miserable experience, and there will be lots of worry and stress, strain and struggle if you don't get these key systems. There's a lot here, but get some of it implemented and going if you haven't done so yet, and improve your practices as you move along, okay? And I am here to help you, all right? Do whatever's necessary, but I can't come in there and push the buttons for you, okay? Do not commingle agent prospect leads with buyer seller leads. I wouldn't do that. I try to find two ways to, it's 2 different businesses. People leveraging, acquiring people and acquiring prospects that are buyers and sellers, keep them separate in your system, okay? Always be recruiting. Your team is only as good as your weakest performer. And when it doesn't work out, you have an exit interview system, okay? You will not release our license until all these activities are completed. As a matter of fact, it says that in your employment contract or your independent contractor agreement. It says it right there, okay? Here's the exit interview right here, and you got to make sure you have all these things. And when you have, then you can release any money or license stuff to them, and just let them know if they agree to it in writing. It's enforceable, okay? But you can't. They get it. Both parties have. It's a contractual agreement. Okay, and I think that you'll be all the better for it. All right. One of the things my business partner did before I sold the business to her, or she took over and ran with it, is that she was charging the agents an exit fee. Like, hey, if you quit, this is what you owe us, and this is to cover these expenses to do these things. So that was pretty interesting, and it definitely covered the expenses to do it. And when people were thinking about quitting, they would, instead of maybe just quit, they would come and talk to us about it a little bit more. So there were some good things about that. Of course, there's always bad when you start. People feel like they're being nickeled, but if it's not piling on top of other stupid expenses, then you know what? It's absolutely fine. So that's something you can keep in the back of your mind. So anyway, that should that should give everyone here on today's webinar, I think, a very good idea of how you can set yourself up and your business up to profit like you never have before off of people. Good people, not bad people, good people, okay? And we think they're all good, but you know what? The systems will help them. The leverage, everything that you have to offer will help these outside salespeople become ongoing, predictable profit centers. Okay? So I'm hoping that this 4-part series that we've done and now completed will help you grow your business in such a way that you will really enjoy this business long term. Profit, just have a blast doing it. Okay? Building a real tangible business asset. That's what this program is. That's what it does, and that's our mission statement. Craig and I set this program up to help you as long as you wanted to participate in it, and we believe that you'll benefit. You know, and hey, there's no end in sight. Unless you're netting $1 million a year in commissions or more, then there's probably a lot of room for improvement in our businesses, would you say? Yeah. So I've got a couple of questions here. Let's take those real fast before we wrap it up. So let's bring on our Chief Operator Extraordinaire, Miss Dana Chambers. Dana, are you there?
Yep, I'm right here.
All right, so you got a couple questions there. Let's take them real, and then we'll end on a good positive note here.
I do. Our first question is from Chris Egan. He wants to know who absorbs the cost of wiring the commissions to your company?
We do. That's a great question. What we would do, and you may remember, I'm telling on myself, Dana.
I remember. You want me to tell him?
I think that expense come off the top, didn't it? And then we split the commission after that? Okay, all right.
It did. It came right off the top, so everybody shared it.
Okay. So there you go. You know what? So, yeah, when you go to certain electronic systems like that, there are expenses. So is there a benefit in it for the agent? And there is. Most of the agents on our team thought it was great when we went to it, not all, because some of them didn't like the extra, you know, whatever it was, $14, $12, $10 charge. But some of them said, this is good. I don't have to worry. I don't have to wait on a check. I don't have to run around town and get it. So it's worth the extra money just to save the gas. Okay? And then some other agents thought they were being nickel and dimed. But the new people that came on the team, when you say this is the way it is, they just say, okay. So hopefully that answers Chris's question. Let's take the next one.
Yep, just to add something to that, I think we did cap it out. If an attorney kind of got a little bit greedy and was charging $50 or $60, we would have them cut a paper check.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, there you go. Thank you, ma'am.
We did have some that did that. Our second question is from Chris Egan as well. He said if you have forms that your agreements that the agent has taken out on the listing, do you have carbon copies? Do you take a copy with you? Or do you have your agents carry a portable printer, copier? And do you fill them out in advance? How far do you go with that?
Well, we would just have an extra paper copy. So we just have you know, several forms we'd carry along all the time in our briefcase or whatever, and we would just pull out an extra form and give the seller a copy of what they signed. So just same thing you do when you go to a closing. You sign a bunch of forms, and the seller hands you copies of what you signed. So pretty easy. Next question.
Michael Nichols just wants you to reiterate where all of these PowerPoints are posted on the coaching site.
Okay. All of these series, Part 4, Part 3, Part 2, Part 1, the PowerPoints are posted under Platinum Recruiting, Platinum Outside Sales Agent Recruiting Systems. Okay? Platinum Recruiting Systems is under the File Library, which is under the Library tab on the coaching site. So across the top toolbar, it says Library, File Library. Okay? Click on File Library, then it takes you to the Most of it almost everything under the file library now is platinum material. Okay, it's not coaching or mastery or grads or REO or anything. It's almost all, like 90% of it, platinum material. So all those categories down there, I built them and laid them out and started putting materials in there for platinum guys over the last 5-6 years now. Okay, so you'll see one there, just a few categories down, Platinum Recruiting Systems. Click on there. These PowerPoints will be there. These webinars, all these webinars that we're doing are getting copied and stored and there's a box on the home page of the coaching site. You'll just scroll down, and down at the bottom it says Platinum Webinars. I think it looks like a conference table, little symbol. Click on that, and all the webinars will pop up. And you can go back and watch and leverage off of these and enjoy. So, great questions in a fantastic series, one for the archives. So with that, I want to thank everyone watching, listening, participating in this program. It's been a real blast working with you guys. I'm looking forward to another fantastic year and watching every one of you have your best year ever as a real estate business on to more successful things. So fantastic. Dana, thank you. So with that, it's going to wrap up our webinar. We'll look forward to seeing many of you at our workshop. With that, let's go sell some houses. Hey, and if you're going to go sell some homes, let's sell big. We'll talk to you.